Welcome. In this video, we're diving deep into the annals of warfare, not to glorify violence, but to uncover how certain battles became catalysts for positive change in human history. We'll examine two monumental clashes: the Battle of Marathon in 490 BC and the Battle of Normandy on D-Day in 1944. These weren't just fights. They were turning points that preserved freedoms, sparked cultural renaissances, and paved the way for global peace and progress. Buckle up as we explore the strategies, the heroes, the stakes, and the lasting legacies that continue to influence our world today. Let's begin with the ancient world. Battle of Marathon. To truly appreciate the Battle of Marathon, we must first set the stage in the ancient world of the 5th century BC. The Persian Empire, under the rule of King Darius I, was the superpower of its time, stretching from the Indus Valley in the east to Egypt in the south and Thrace in the west. Persia commanded vast resources, a professional army, and a network of satrapies that ensured loyalty through a mix of diplomacy and force. Darius, known as the King of Kings, had inherited an empire built by Cyrus the Great and expanded by Cambyses II, but his ambitions didn't stop at the borders of Asia. He eyed the fragmented city-states of Greece, seeing them as both a threat and an opportunity for further conquest. Greece, in contrast, was a patchwork of independent polis city-states like Athens, Sparta, Corinth, and Thebes, each with its own government, military, and rivalries. Yet, what unified them was a shared Hellenic culture, language, and religion, centered around the worship of gods like Zeus, Athena, and Apollo. Athens, in particular, was undergoing a democratic revolution. Just a few years before Marathon, in 508 BC, Cleisthenes had reformed the Athenian constitution, introducing isonomia equality under the law and establishing the ecclesia, where citizens could vote on matters of state. This nascent democracy was fragile, threatened by internal tyrants and external empires. The spark for the Greco-Persian Wars came from the Ionian Revolt. In 499 BC, Greek cities in Asia Minor, under Persian control, rebelled with Athenian support. Aristogoras of Miletus led the uprising, but it was crushed by 494 BC. Darius, furious at Athenian interference, vowed revenge. He sent envoys to Greece demanding earth and water symbols of submission. Most city-states complied out of fear, but Athens and Sparta defiantly refused, even executing the Persian heralds in some accounts. This act of defiance set the stage for invasion. In 490 BC, Darius launched his punitive expedition. A fleet of about 600 ships carried an army estimated at 20,000 to 25,000 infantry and cavalry, commanded by Datis and Artaphernes. Their target: Athens. The Persians landed at the Bay of Marathon, a flat plain about 26 miles northeast of Athens, chosen for its suitability for cavalry operations. The site was strategic, close enough to threaten Athens, but defensible. Legend has it that Hippias, the exiled tyrant of Athens, guided the Persians, hoping to reclaim his throne. News of the invasion reached Athens in panic. The city could muster only about 9,000 to 10,000 hoplite citizen soldiers, armed with spears, shields, and bronze armor. They were joined by 1,000 Plataeans, loyal allies. Sparta was appealed to for help, but the Spartans, bound by religious festivals, the Carneia, promised aid only after the full moon too late. A runner, Phidippides, was dispatched to Sparta, covering 150 miles in 2 days, but the response was delayed. The Athenian generals, 10 in number with rotating command, debated strategy. Miltiades, a veteran of Persian wars, advocated for immediate attack. He persuaded Callimachus, the Polemarch, war archon, to break a tie vote in favor of battle. The Greeks marched to Marathon and camped on the hills overlooking the plain, blocking the Persians' path to Athens. For several days, a standoff ensued. The Persians, confident in their numbers, waited for Greek dissension or reinforcements. The Greeks, outnumbered perhaps 2 to 1, used the terrain to their advantage. Hilly ground negated Persian cavalry. Miltiades' plan was ingenious: weaken the center to draw in the Persians, then envelop with strengthened flanks. On September 12, 490 BC, by modern reckoning, the battle commenced at dawn. The Athenians, in a bold move, charged at a run across the mile-wide plain to minimize arrow fire. Herodotus describes the Greeks as the first to charge without archers or cavalry support. The phalanx, a tight formation of overlapping shields, crashed into the Persian lines. The Persians, with lighter infantry, wicker shields, bows, excelled at range but faltered in melee. Their elite immortals held the center, pushing back the thin Greek line. But the flanks, led by Athenians on one side and Plataeans on the other, routed the weaker Persian wings. The Greeks then wheeled inward, trapping the center in a double envelopment, a pincer movement. Chaos ensued. Persians fled to their ships, pursued by Greeks who slaughtered them in the marshes. 7 ships were captured or destroyed. Persian losses: 6,400 dead, per Herodotus. Greek casualties: a mere 192, including Callimachus. The victory was stunning, but the danger wasn't over. The Persian fleet sailed around Cape Sognon toward Athens, hoping to find it undefended. Phidippides, or another runner, dashed the 26 miles to Athens, proclaiming, "Ninakikamen, we have won," before collapsing dead birth of the marathon race. Spartans arrived too late, viewing the Persian dead in awe. Athens stood. Now, why did Marathon change humanity for the better? It halted Persian expansion into Europe, preserving Greek autonomy. Without it, the Persian yoke might have stifled Greek innovation. Athens' golden age followed. Pericles' democracy, the Parthenon, tragedies by Aeschylus, a Marathon veteran, philosophies of Socrates, Plato, Aristotle. Democracy's seed spread to Rome, influencing republics worldwide. Science, math, Euclid, Pythagoras. Art, these flourished because Greece remained free. Marathon symbolized citizen soldiers defending ideals over imperial might. It inspired the West's emphasis on individual rights, rule of law, and resistance to tyranny. Echoes in American Revolution, where founders drew from classical Greece. Tactically, it showcased heavy infantry's superiority over light, influencing warfare for centuries. Phalanx evolved into Roman legions. Culturally, Marathon entered myth. Annual festivals, the Panathenaea, celebrated it. Herodotus's histories immortalized it, founding Western historiography. In sum, Marathon wasn't just a battle, it was a bulwark for civilization. Had Persia won, Europe might have adopted Eastern despotism, altering history's course. Instead, it birthed a legacy of freedom and inquiry that enlightens us still. Battle of Normandy. Fast forward to the 20th century, the deadliest era in history. World War II, ignited by Nazi Germany's aggression under Adolf Hitler, engulfed the globe from 1939 to 1945. By 1944, the Allies, primarily the United States, United Kingdom, Soviet Union, and Free French, had turned the tide. North Africa cleared. Italy invaded, Eastern Front pushing back Germans. But to defeat Nazi Germany, a second front in Western Europe was needed. Operation Overlord, the invasion of Normandy, was the largest amphibious assault ever, planned by Dwight D. Eisenhower, Supreme Allied Commander, Bernard Montgomery, Ground Forces, and others. It involved deception, Operation Bodyguard, to mislead Germans about Pas de Calais. Normandy chosen for beaches, ports, terrain, 5 beaches. Utah and Omaha, American, Gold, British, Juno, Canadian, Sword, British, French, forces. 156,000 troops on D-Day, rising to 2 million, 11,000 aircraft, 7,000 ships. Germans, under Erwin Rommel, fortified the Atlantic Wall bunkers, mines, obstacles, about 50,000 troops in immediate area. Panzer reserves inland. The 6th of June 1944, postponed from June 5 due to weather. At 0:15, 24,000 paratroopers, U.S. 82nd, 101st Airborne, British 6th, dropped behind lines to secure bridges, roads. Gliders landed. Misdrops scattered troops, but they disrupted Germans. Naval bombardment at dawn, then landings. Utah, 4th Infantry Division, minimal resistance, 197 casualties. Omaha, 1st 29th Divisions faced cliffs. Heavy fire from 352nd Division, 2,400 casualties. But Rangers scaled Pointe du Hoc, destroying guns, actually dummies. Gold, 50th Division tough but secured. Juno, 3rd Canadian, fierce house to house, high casualties. Sword, 3rd British, linked with paratroopers. By day's end, beaches secured, but objectives like Caen delayed. 4,414 Allied dead, 5,000 to 9,000 wounded. German, 4,000 to 9,000. Battle continued into July. Hedgerow fighting, Operation Cobra breakout. Paris liberated August 25. Germany surrendered the 8th of May, 1945. Impact. Opened Western Front, dividing German forces. Hastened war's end, saving lives. Ended Holocaust, 6 million Jews, millions others murdered. Post-war. Nuremberg trials established international law. Genocide conventions. United Nations founded 1945 for peace. Universal Declaration of Human Rights 1948. Marshall Plan rebuilt Europe, preventing communism spread, fostering democracy. NATO 1949 for collective security. Economically, war spurred technology. Computers, jets, nuclear energy, peaceful uses. Women's workforce roles advanced equality. Normandy symbolized multinational cooperation against tyranny. Lessons in strategy, logistics influenced modern military. Without D-Day, prolonged war might have allowed more atrocities. Altered Cold War. It affirmed democracy over fascism, shaping our free world. Conclusion. From Marathon's defense of democracy to Tours' preservation of culture, to Normandy's triumph over totalitarianism, these battles redirected history toward greater freedom, innovation, and humanity. They remind us that from conflict can emerge progress. Thank you for joining this deep dive into history's pivotal moments. If this video enlightened you, please subscribe to History's Turning Points for more in-depth explorations. And don't forget to like and share. Your support keeps the stories alive. Until next time, keep questioning the past to understand the present.